knowledge, but then also to empathize with the people around you and to really understand what they are maybe looking for, what they struggle with to understand. And yeah, this is actually what brought me here today. So I'm the managing director of HHL Digital Space today. I started here in August only. I have a wonderful team. So we are an early stage tech incubator. We offer a 12-week incubation program, which is free of charge. We are financed by the government, and we help startups to grow, to bring their ideas to life. So basically all you need to have is an idea, and then we help you to validate, to really come up with methodology and very profound knowledge to find your problem solution fit, and then build a prototype and go to market. This is my background, and I now want to take you on a little journey. So if you look at this, this was actually what was surrounding me in the last couple of years. I told you I've seen both worlds, like the business and the tech worlds. And first of all, you're super overwhelmed when you enter like a new world and you're like, everybody's talking Chinese. This is not something you might have studied, or your friends are talking about. So it's hard work actually, and especially when you enter the startup sphere, there's a lot more attached to that and super fast. Like once you get to a point where you think like, okay, I kind of know how things are going and what they're called, then like new technology kicks in. Yeah, new words kick in, and you have to keep learning. And that's what I encourage all of you. And I brought to you 6, let's call it observations from my time working in these different roles with startups, but also with corporates. And I think it's not limited to business and tech, but really helps you to be more inclusive, to really get to know people from the other side and better communicate and then collaborate. Because that's my firm belief, if you want to be successful as a startup, it's not about just one specific domain knowledge. You can be a super great engineer, a rock star scientist, or a badass mathematician. But if you don't bring it together and form like a great team, it's very prone that you're about to fail. Before we get to these 6 observations, I want to introduce you to this gentleman here. You all know Albert Einstein, and I really like this quote of him. I have no special talent, I'm only passionately curious. And that's, I think, the basis for every human interaction, even if you're not like, I know everything, I can teach you something, but maybe you are an expert, but you still have to learn so many things. And that's why stay humble, stay like curious, and that's going to open up a whole universe for you then as well. So let's get to my 6 observations. The first one, and I'm a good example for this, being a marketing person, having entered IT sales, logistics, then cloud sales, and now I'm in a somewhat educational environment. Really leave your comfort zone as often as you can. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to change jobs as often as I did. It's fun, but only sometimes. Because if you leave your comfort zone, you don't know what's gonna happen. It's all about like new things. You get confronted like with new interactions, new people that might not know you. There's a huge potential for conflict. But if you know your comfort zone, and when I started off with my marketing degree, I'm like, yeah, I'm somewhat comfortable to talking to marketing people, languages and stuff. That was really my cup of tea. And then I realized after a couple of years, now tech is somewhat my comfort zone, and I don't feel as comfortable anymore with marketing people. So these zones can change over time, and we really encourage you to figure out where you're at. If you're a scientist, that's probably your comfort zone. And if you know what's not stressing you out, then you can work on what's like the next level you want to enter. So where do you want to grow? And for me also personally, it was important to identify what actually keeps me from growing. So is it like the job environment? Is it like a safe earning that you want to keep before you start something on your own? Or is it like the cultural upbringing? I mean, here in Germany, we have like a lot of constraints and people being like, no, entrepreneurship, are you sure about this? Just get a like corporate job and then you say, that's maybe one of the reasons why I started with IBM, right? Because from my family background, there's no such thing as entrepreneurship, and people like very, safe and want to, don't want to risk too many things. So identify what keeps you from growing, and then also look who can help you there. I mean, it's not about just reaching everything on your own, but open up for the world. I mean, there's so many people around, especially in entrepreneurship, that want to help you, for example, digital space. But yeah, not limited to that. So you can have professors, you can have like friends, or just some virtual environments where you can find the resources that you need. And so my key takeaway for you from this first observation is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's super, super helpful. And once you get to the point and kind of enjoy like those new situations, even I know like many of you might be like, but I haven't done this before. You can learn this as well. And this brings me to my second observation, how business and tech can fruitfully collaborate, learn, and learn. For me, it started off to understand what really motivates me. So I'm a people person. I like being surrounded by people, and I also like helping other people. So when I have to learn, it's about interaction. I'm not very good at sitting on my own in the library and studying stuff, but really figure out like what is the setting that is best for you, and what is the skill that you want to learn. So for example, if I said like 3 years ago, I want to be like a badass coding champ, most likely this is not what I'm really good at, and I wouldn't even aim for it. But what I can do is like get better at communicating with technical people, or like better understanding what is their set of values, what are they working on, what concerns them. So that was really something that struck my attention, and where I put a lot of effort in learning basically. And then also consider different options. Learning doesn't necessarily mean you only go to school, like earn a degree and then do your job with it. It's also about yourself. And even if you don't hold a degree, or if you just do like some online courses, there's so many options out there how you can learn and get better. And just figure out what works best for you, and if it's bringing you to the expected outcome. So if you feel like, I want to be a professor, then most likely degrees are super important to get there. But as a startup founder, I mean, we all know those examples of people who are who never even graduated and became brilliant business people. So it's all about like choosing the right weapons, so to say, for your startup, and then just go for it and really go all in, that you don't lose time and effort on the way to get there. Next up, I like this quite a lot. Ask for help and accept feedback. I told you in my last role, I was working with Amazon Web Services, which is part of Amazon. And if you're familiar with the vision of Amazon, it's about being the most customer-centric company on earth. And it goes thus far that they don't even say customer centricity, they even talk about customer obsession. And it's essential to put the customer in the center of your activities, but this is also not be not concerned about yourselves. There might be other companies who are like, we want to be the best and we want to be better than this competitor or this. No, if you put like the customer in the center of your activities, it's not about you. And you have to learn from the feedback you receive. So really make this an early thing, even if you're just starting with your startup. Try to get as close as possible to your customers. And if they tell you, this doesn't work, I want this differently, I'm not saying build a different product for each and every customer. You have to set like the balance and see like what's scaling for you as well. But if they give you feedback and say like, for this product, I would be willing to pay, that's super valuable information. And you can only grow from this. What I have seen as well, and we all have this, I'm not saying only in our incubator or in the entrepreneurial world, but we all have this thing called confirmation bias. So if we ask somebody, my husband always tells me, if you ask somebody, you always know the answer. Yeah, it's right. So if you ask somebody be neutral, or try to be as neutral as possible, and just don't assume like, okay, it's going to be all right. They will tell me that this is working, especially when you invest like your time and money in a startup and you're just chasing for like people to confirm and saying like, yeah, this is cool. So really chase the people that criticize and think like, do you really think, not for you to drop the idea then, because that could also happen quite easily, that you're like, okay, maybe it really sucks and then I don't want to continue. But don't just go for feedback to get a yes. Always chase the no. That's my advice. When I looked at the people I was surrounded with, like different backgrounds, I was always super impressed by the ones that held themselves as the least knowledgeable. So they would be like, yeah, maybe like Albert Einstein, I have specific knowledge, but honestly, I don't know this and that, and I can't tell you this. So don't make up things, or think like, when we are in sales, people often think that they have to bullshit and they have to pretend certain things. But this is not true. Actually, the best salespeople in the world, they take their customers very seriously. They don't have to lie. They just understand what the customers want, and they translate this into solutions. And I think that's a common misperception when you talk to business people and they're like, yeah, no, I'm not this kind of a salesy person, because they always lie and they want to make the sales happen. I think it's a good effort to be like, I want to be a great salesperson. Even if I'm a tech person, I need to make sure that my business is earning money. And that's why you need sales. And giving this like a slightly negative image, just shape it in your way and make sure that your sales is super professional and it's all about like understanding the customers. And if you have to lie to get the deal, I'm not sure if then you're selling the right product, but that's my personal opinion. And the last part is become aware of your blind spots. So that's a bit more of a psychological thing, that we always think like, oh, this happens to everybody else, but I'm perfect, I don't need this. But if you take the time to reflect, and if you go back to situations where you were like really challenged, don't just think about what the others did wrong. Think about like, what could you have done differently, and those schemas, they might occur again, and then you can get prepared for this. I can tell you from my personal experience, I told you I'm good at communicating actually, but when I'm really stressed, I focus so much, I forget to communicate. And I've been through this a couple of times, and now whenever stress level is rising, I'm forcing myself on, you have to communicate. And learning from this, yes, there has been situations before that weren't comfortable for me, but now it helps me to get better at my job. And I can only recommend to all of you to do the same. When I chose this picture, I wasn't aware that this might not be the best week to talk about soccer. I'm sorry for all the German national team fans in Spain. Let's leave it aside for a moment. I want to talk about inspiration, and this happens a lot in team sports, actually, right? It's not just about like delegating and being like, you have to do this, you have to do that, but as a team, you kind of develop a culture and you inspire each other and you trust each other. So this guy basically, I mean, he could try to make the goal on his own, but wouldn't it be much better to use like the resources he has on the field and then interact with them to have like a higher outcome and make that goal? If you start hiring people in your startup, you can search for the best talents and you're like, I want this skill, I want that, but it can cost you a lot of time and effort, and then you realize, maybe this wasn't the best hire because the person just didn't develop enough, or they just wanted to do their thing. So my personal experience, again, hire for attitude. So people who want to grow with you, having this growth mindset is super helpful then if you extend to a team and you can all work together. And as a manager, of course, sometimes you have to delegate first. I had delegate on the heading here, but I think inspiring is so much more than just delegating. So you want the people to understand why they are doing the stuff they are doing. And I want to give you an example of, what was shown to me quite frequently in the tech world. There was a team of business founders and they were like, yeah, we rule the world, it's so great. And they just delegated the stuff to the tech people and they were like, yeah, you built this tech stack because you know it's great. And if you don't get the buy-in into your vision from your tech people and they understand what they're really working on, they might find ways so they do their own stuff and they do their own tech stacks because it's cool for them. So really make sure that this is a joint effort and not just the business people task, but everybody in the company should buy into your vision. That's super, super critical. And then last but not least, yes, misunderstandings, they happen super frequently. And if you're early on, it's helpful to just sit together, talk about your values and what you're about to do with this company. So you have the chance to not be misunderstood as frequently later on. Of course, this might still happen, but then learn from this and you can ask yourself then, okay, was my messaging clear enough? Did everybody understand what I wanted to achieve with this? Because many times misunderstandings are the main reason for conflicts, and you don't have to waste your time with then a lot of conflicts that could have been avoided with better communication. Yeah, my next observation, I don't want to call it advice because you can decide what you want to take from this. It's just for me personally, decide based on data. Entrepreneurs tend to be very good and very fast in taking decisions, and they have good instincts, and that's super cool. But again, if you have to bring this to a broader audience and people have to understand like what you're up for, then just make this bound to data. You can have this gut feeling, but with data, it's so much easier to understand, and there's like also less room for misunderstandings or conflicts later on. And then also in both worlds, tech and business, KPIs, key performance indicators, are super critical for you to measure your success. Because if you don't see the success in your actions, and I have seen this quite frequently from, I don't want to call out anybody, but especially tech people that were like super in love with their products. They were like, it's so cool, it's my baby. And the resonance wasn't there. And so they didn't want to drop it. And that's quite unfortunate because you invest like so much time and energy into developing this product and then there's no need from the market side. So really calling out everybody, not just a single group, make sure you're understanding the market need first and then build your product. And understanding the market need is also based on data. Go out in the field, do interviews. That's what we do with our teams as well. Make sure you get the facts right. And then my last observation, plan for the unexpected. We live in this world, I mean, who am I telling this to? COVID is all around, there's always something happening that you didn't plan for. And if you just have this one single product, which is solving like a very specific problem, it could occur that some external factors happen and there's no market need anymore. And what do you do then? So you should have a broader vision than just selling XYZ to ABC. And again, from my exposure to tech people, sometimes I heard them saying, yeah, Sophia, our strategy is to use, I'm just using a random technology, Kubernetes, for building this great solution. And this is actually not what vision and strategy is about, right? So if you're just in favor of a certain technology, that's cool, but it's just not enough. And if like your developers or like the people in charge of tech have certain feelings towards technology, that's totally fine, but it just shouldn't be the only thing you're chasing for in your vision. Because if circumstances change and you have the strong vision that is built in, everybody in your company has understood what this is all about, then you can change, because then it's not about the product, but it's about like the mission and what you're about to bring to the market, and not just having this one product that is super cool. What I've also seen, and now I'm addressing more the business side, you can be like super passionate about certain things, especially in the marketing world. You're like, let's do this newsletter, and then we want to have this ad campaign, and then we do some Instagram, and you forget what this is all about, or you focus so much on the activities you're doing that it's not bound to the actual outcome. So really set the goal first and then go into the activities. Otherwise, you just lose focus, and it's then super hard for your teams to keep track, and then they chase this activity and they chase this and have the key results on a monthly or quarterly basis. And then, try to stick to it. It's super hard for me as well, but it really helps you to focus and to channel like your energy of your teams as well. Yeah, and then last but not least, I've said it already, let customer focus drive your business and tech decisions. That's, I think, a very, very good North Star to have. And if things are changing and you have your customer base and they really love your product, it's going to be the future of empowered entrepreneurial minds who shape a better digital world. That's why we are doing stuff like this and just share it with the public, because we think entrepreneurial education is still quite good at many universities, HHL, for example, but there's so many more things you can do as well. And we want to encourage you to reach out to your friends, to your families, and make them aware of how great entrepreneurship is, because you're the next generation of possible founders. And with all those changing environments we're in right now, it needs brave people, right? And with that being said, I can only invite you, if you feel like you have this one idea and you're not totally sure yet how to bring this to market. We're still accepting applications for a second batch. I mentioned already our 12-week incubation program. It's free of charge. You can work here from our co-working space in Leipzig, but in COVID times, we definitely make use of virtual offerings as well. And it's not necessarily a criterion that you are full-time here in Leipzig. I just want to say that. And now I think I've talked a lot. I want to hear your voices. I'm seeing some faces already. First of all, thank you all for being with us today. It's a great honor that you're giving us your time. And I even brought a special guest. Maybe Evgeny, if